Welcome to Maverick University, an educational series featuring ministry modules taught by ministry-minded Christians and designed to help Christians become more effective in their service for Christ. Welcome to another edition of Maverick University. I'm your host, David Hallberg. Joining me is our adjunct faculty member, Pastor Terry Angel. Brother Angel teaches our church ed courses and also our homiletics courses at the college. And so it's a pleasure to have you with us again, Brother Angel.
Thank you.
You can check out our previous conversations with Brother Angel dealing with the subject of sermon preparation and how to improve your preaching. And so you can check out those on our YouTube channel and the audio-only platforms as well. But today's topic, Brother Angel will be talking about building programs, and I just sat down with Pastor Gomez to talk about the Vision Unlimited program, and he covered the financial aspect of it and basically what the program is all about. But I thought maybe we could come at it from a slightly different angle with you. You went through the Vision Unlimited program with Brother Gomez. Twice, yeah. Yes, and I would like for you to talk a little bit about the practical logistical issues with building a building. Some of the things you're happy you did, some things you look back on and, man, I wish we had.
I used to have hair the color of yours, Brother Hallberg.
Yes, sir.
When I was first became your pastor.
I think we have some pictures at home of you that way, too.
And people say, where did this happen? 2 building programs.
Yes, sir.
They could be a nightmare. Thankfully, God helped us avoid that at Faith Baptist. We have had 2 building programs, and total cost $3.4 million, between 1.3 and 1.8, so $3.1 million. But then we had a $300,000 remodel. Just finished that. So we've spent a lot of money on the buildings.
What were the needs that required you to do these buildings?
Well, first of all, the auditorium got full, and by full, the old timers will tell you 80%. I was there. I became pastor in 1990, and you remember the old auditorium. It was not really a church auditorium.
It was a low ceiling.
Low ceiling, 8-foot ceiling, and a nice room. Yeah. It was nice, comfortable. But, and I think it only seated, I don't remember exactly what it seated, but I remember this. I remember a fella called me from a nearby ministry, and he said, Dr. Lee Robertson is here teaching in our school, but he's not preaching any of the services at the church. Would you like to have him on Wednesday night? Now, this is like Tuesday morning. Yeah. And I said, Lee Robertson? Absolutely. Yeah. And so we didn't have time, and this is before emails, this is before all that day, okay? So basically it was trying to catch people at home on the phone in your church and saying, hey, Dr. Lee Robertson's going to be there Wednesday night, and we don't catch them all. And so he comes, and we're sitting on the platform of the auditorium Wednesday night, and the ushers are taking the offering. And there was a little table between us, I'm sitting in one chair, he's in the other, little table between us. And he leans over to me and he said, Pastor, is this your people? Are these your people? And I said, yes, sir. This is. We didn't have time to invite anybody. It's Wednesday night, He said, I never forget what he says. Got to build. 80%, son, 80%. You're 80% full. And to my shame, to my regret, I remember thinking, well, I know I've heard that's old school, but we can keep people coming. But Brother Hallberg, we didn't. We'd fill up, we'd lose. We'd fill up, we'd lose. We'd fill up, we'd lose. People aren't going to sit. Sure. And one of the things that preachers do, shoot themselves in the foot. They go visit the mission field, and people sit on benches like this for 5 hours, and then they come home and scream at their people. But we're Americans. That's not our culture. That's not what we're used to. No. Yeah. So people aren't going to sit shoulder to shoulder, and they're going to spread out. And when you hit 80% capacity, I would say start looking at the prospects of enlarging your auditorium. You may not remember this. We actually added some pews.
To the sides?
Yes.
I remember when we did
added some pews. And, we cared for the problem that way. But now, you know what? On the other hand, some churches maybe they don't have a seating problem, but they've accumulated money and they've been careful with their money and they can upgrade, to a nice building, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. So, but in our case, it was more, the space issue we needed to create.
So it was
space.
auditorium space for building program number 1. Building program number 2, what was the need there?
Sunday school.
Sunday school space.
Yep. We built the auditorium and remodeled the offices and nurseries, and the church grew, and now we're out of Sunday school space. Now we're A Sunday school, B Sunday school, but the classes are small. The old gymnasium, you remember the old gymnasium?
I remember being on the 3rd floor up in the attic there for Sunday school.
That was crazy.
It was exciting.
It was a fire hazard.
it was cool up there, I thought.
Yeah, happy. Yeah, you boys maybe didn't get a whole lot out of the Sunday school lesson, but you enjoyed being on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
Thank God none of you became Eutychus. Poof,
no kidding.
Fell out the windows, long way down. But so that necessitated the second and the building program. Interesting book. I would encourage everybody going into a building program to get it and read it. It's called When Not to Build. When Not to Build. And it kind of takes you through your thought processes because, if you have thought processes like, if I build this building, my offerings are going up. You better not build on that premise. You don't know if your offerings are going up, If I build this auditorium, people will come. Well, that does happen, but you don't build on that premise. So it goes through a whole series of questions to ask yourself. And, are you utilizing the space you have to its fullest, potential? Sure. Because one of the things you learn is it's very easy, maybe Brother Gomez said this, it's very easy to raise money up front before the building starts rather than after. And
you're dangling the carrot out there and people are willing to give, but once they have it.
Right. So it was a very helpful book, and yet, I passed all the tests that the book kind of presents, and we jumped into the VU program. And so I've often, had the opportunity to speak at a few pastors' meetings on the subject of building, not church building, but building a building. Sure. And I liken it into, you got a church, you've got a ministry that's functioning. Okay, it's like a flatbed semi running down the road. You've seen them strapped with big heavy pieces of steel on them, sure. And they're running down the interstate 65, 70 miles an hour. They're doing well, and out of the blue, there's this poof, extra weight just dumped on the back of that tractor, on that trailer. Because that's what happens when a church goes into a building program. It doesn't stop, or it shouldn't stop its ministries to build. You're adding the building to everything else that's going on. And so it's like, when that would happen, in your mind, if you can see a semi-tractor running down the road with a trailer and an extra 2,000 or 3,000 pounds of weight just dropped on it, he's going to have to gear down. He's going to have to, go through the gears a little bit and kind of get his momentum built up again. And that's kind of how I picture a building program. You've already got the ministry running down the road at 70 miles an hour, and now this load, this weight is going to be dropped on you, and you can't stop. The reason you need to build is because you're going down the road. Yeah. So don't stop going down the road. So there are some hurdles to jump to keep that happening, to keep it going. But God was good to us. We moved into the gymnasium. Yep. You were there, young man, you were there. We were there 14 months. 14 months, and that wasn't a pretty gymnasium. That was...
Yeah, it was echoey.
Oh, my goodness. The concrete floor, the tin roof, when it rained, help us. You couldn't turn the volume up loud enough. And they warned me about that. But do you know, Brother Hallberg, you may not remember, but we went into that place for 14 months, and not one service time in 14 months did it ever rain during the service.
Are you kidding?
Sometimes it would rain before, sometimes it would rain right after, but we never had a noise problem in 14 months.
Wow.
With messages, missions conference, things like that. It was a miracle. And we grew. We had people added to the church in the gymnasium. And I think one of the things we did, I decided, this is me, and other pastors do it differently, but I just felt like the men in our church who had the potential to really jump in and do the building were also running the bus routes, teaching the Sunday school classes, singing in the choir. I didn't want that to lose steam. So we decided we'd send the project out. We did some of the demo. We did some of the smaller change orders that come up. Everybody has a change order, something that you didn't foresee, and now you got to deal with it. And we tried to do those because those oftentimes cost you a lot of money. But we kind of tried to keep the people's focus on your bus route, your Sunday school class, your choir, your service opportunities, you know. So when keep your focus on that. And we hired it out both times. We did a little bit different both times. We did a general contractor the first time. And the second time we went with a firm which was in-house. They design and then they build, you know. Okay. And they kind of do it all. Now, they get a fee for that, obviously.
Sure.
So there's different ways of doing it, but we kind of left it pretty much to hiring it out both times. And I'm not sorry we did.
So you had building program number 1, building program number 2. We talked about the needs there. And then we have a recent renovation.
Yep.
Were there some things that, from the first building program, you did some things to the auditorium. I think you did some bathroom work, I think, as well.
Yes.
What were the needs for that renovation?
Part of it was after you're in it, you know, you think, boy, if I had this to do over again, I would change this, change that. And then the other part of it was I've heard older preachers, and a couple of older preachers told me, Terry, you know, if you get your buildings up and you get out of debt, and thankfully we did, we got debt free. You know, and you have some money. It doesn't hurt to dress the place up for your people. Put a little eye candy in there, and we had a pretty auditorium, but it wasn't you know a bunch of eye candy. It was very functional, very useful, and you know if you buy a house. You go to a house where people have been living comfortably for 20, 25 years. You walk in, the first thing you think, your wife thinks especially, is those countertops got to go. They're old. People living there think, what's wrong with my countertops?
Yeah, they're the ones that put them in. You know?
Yeah, they're working fine, you know? Yeah. So people walk into your 20-year-old bathrooms and visitors, and they say, man, this is outdated. We use it every week. We don't think anything of it.
It's true, yeah.
And so we decided, you know, let's update our bathrooms. We had some money, surplus money. Let's update our bathrooms and bring them, you know, to more cutting edge, if you want to call it that, as far as decor. Not Taj Mahal. I've been in some places where, man, you almost rather spend time in the bathroom than in the bathroom. It's like, whoa, you know, not that, but still very nice, very nice. And a little bit the same way in our auditorium. We did change some things aesthetically. That maybe eye candy, you know, but then we changed some things functionally. We built a pit for our orchestra, you know, kind of lowered the platform on both edges. Okay. So a little bit of both, a little bit of just dressing it up for the people who attend there every week.
And some functionality.
And some functionality too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we've been covering just the needs for it. What were some things that you did during the construction project to keep people motivated to give to the project? And
well, we used the VU program, and then we did some extra things along the way to help expedite the process of paying off the loan. The borrower servant to the lender. I personally don't think you can make a case against borrowing money, but you can't change the principle.
Yes, sir.
That if you borrow, you're servant to the lender until you get that paid off. So we did Yard Mart, which was a big thing. Here's the premise. If you do fundraisers to operate, then there's a problem.
Yes, sir.
The people's giving should cover the operation of the church. We did fundraisers solely for prepayment on principal. Solely. So every penny went to prepayment on principal. Because, Brother Hallberg, when you're talking about $1.8 million and you're able to put excess amount of principal to that payment every month, you're saving multiplied thousands of dollars.
And time.
Yes. So we would do those big yard marts where we would put together, people donated Go through your house, your garage, your closet, your attics, that thing that's been sitting in the corner for years that you've always got a use for. No, you don't. You know, and we didn't take it on consignment. We took it only on donation.
Yep.
And we made a store out of that place. I mean, it was not just thrown in there. Like we avoided the word rummage. We built a yard mart, a store, laid out, priced, displayed, and that first one we made $17,000.
I remember our first one, and it was unbelievable.
It was incredible.
It was
incredible.
Really great. Yeah.
And we made as much as $25,000 down the road. We ran yard mart for 20 years, maybe 18. I don't know. 18.
And you're still doing it?
No, we're done.
Oh, you're done with yard marts. Oh, okay.
We're done. We're free. We don't need yard mart anymore.
Keep your junk.
The people in the community would like it, you know, but
get
junk. Get rid of your junk another way. So.
I remember, people telling stories. You wouldn't believe what this piece of garbage sold for.
Exactly. One man's junk is another man's treasure.
Yes, sir.
And so we would use fundraisers, and the ladies did a craft and bake sale, and for a while we hosted a golf outing, and every penny of that didn't go to pay gas for the buses, electricity for the lights, insurance for the property. No, that's operating expense. It went prepayment on the principal. And I think when the people in the church know that that's what it's being used for, they jump in and they know, they understand. Let's get out of debt. So
it's not just a weight on the pastor, it's a weight on the people
It
as
is,
well.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Brother Angel. Appreciate that. If you want to check out our other conversations with Pastor Angel, you can check out our YouTube channel and also the audio-only platforms as well. Thank you so much for joining us.